Hey guys, so for today's video, I have a first impression on a bunch of different products, mainly the new L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation, but they also sent over their new Total Cover palettes and also their new sponge, and I believe they come in 2 other shapes as well. I was super excited to test out these products. I tested them out and kind of did a little first impressions for you guys, so if you're interested in checking out what I feel about the new L'Oreal Total Cover products, then keep on watching. So let's go ahead and get started with primer, of course. I am just going to start off with kind of like a basic primer. This is the Maybelline Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser. It's one of my favorite drugstore primers. What I mean by basic is it's just a good primer that's not going to affect the longevity of your foundation. It's just gonna smooth out your skin, and it's just that good everyday kind of primer. So we're trying out the new L'Oreal Total Cover Infallible Foundation. I'm really excited to try this. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I need to get my hands on this. A lot of people are comparing it to the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation since it's super moussey and full coverage. So that makes me even more excited because you guys know I love that foundation. But I will say I've heard some negatives about this foundation, and then I've heard some people love it. So I'm really like iffy, you know, I don't know if I'm gonna love it or hate it. Let me just say the shades in this foundation are kind of weird. The tube is literally like 3 shades darker than the actual foundation is. So that's why these look really dark for me, but they're totally not, you know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. The color that you see on the bottle is a complete misrepresentation of the actual color, which I really hate. I normally use the 106 in the L'Oreal Pro Matte, and that's 106 Sun Beige. So this is 308 Sun Beige. So I just figured 308 should be good, and I swatched it and it seemed okay. So I'm really hoping the shade is good. So let me just tell you guys a little bit of what this foundation claims. So it says full coverage weightless feel right away on the bottom of the package in the front. So on the back here, you know how L'Oreal always does their little kind of chart here. So it says the finish is a natural finish, which is nice. It says the wear is up to 24 hours. The coverage is high coverage, and the texture is air light. So I did hear that it's supposed to be like a super light, kind of moussey, airy texture, which we'll see. This is a good body and face foundation. They say ultra light, seamless coverage. If you guys follow me on Snapchat, then you'll see that I got the big kind of package in the mail where they sent all the foundations, but they also sent their new Total Cover products as well, which is their color correctors, which I'm really excited to try, and then their concealing and contour palette, which I'm gonna try today as well. So you'll be seeing me test these. And they also sent their new kind of beauty blenders. I have the little chart here for you guys to see that they sent me. They have 3 different kinds. They sent me the center one, which I need to get my hands on these ones because these ones look really good too. But I'm really excited to try the little sponge as well. It feels pretty bouncy, so I have some high hopes for the sponge because I know I'm really picky with sponges because I'm obsessed with my beauty blender. But we'll see how this one goes. Before we go into the foundation, I quickly want to try this guy out. This is the 225 Color Correcting Kit. And this is actually a perfect time for me to test out a new foundation because I don't know if you guys are noticing, but I'm having some skin issues. Like, my rosacea has been acting up, and I feel like the winter has really made my skin really dry in certain areas. Like, I have these weird dry patches on my eye. I have dry texture right on my cheek here that you guys can't really see, but trust me, you can feel it. It's like scaly and dry. I don't even know what's up. But perfect time for me to try a new foundation and new color correcting and concealer. So I think what I'm gonna do is use the green shade, of course, to color correct my redness, and I'm just gonna use my finger. It feels super like it's not dry or anything. Like, it's nice and hydrating, which is nice. So I'm gonna take, ooh, that's really high coverage. When it comes to color correctors though, I don't like to blend them out too much because, I mean, I want it to color correct. So you kind of want to leave some of that color there. You can even, sometimes I even just blend it with my finger, but that beauty blender just blended it pretty nicely. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, but it actually covered up pretty nicely and it blended really nice. What's nice about this is I feel like it's not emphasizing any dry textures, and it's not making me too oily, but it's also not kind of making me feel dry, which is nice. So moving on to the foundation, I'm gonna try 308 and mix it a little bit with 309, and we'll see how that goes. So this is how the tube kind of looks. It has like a little squeezy tube. I don't know how much to put on, so I'm just gonna kind of freestyle it. It says it's high coverage, so if you're gonna claim to be high coverage, then I expect to not have to put too much on, you know? So I'm definitely gonna try blending this out with their sponge, but I also wanna try one side with the brush because I know for moussey foundations, I personally do not like using sponges. I like using a brush, so I guess we'll just have to see how this goes. So this shade is definitely a bit light on me since I have, like, my face is super pale right now compared to my body. So I might have to mix in some of that 309. So I definitely see what they're saying about that air light texture. It does feel super, super light. I really like this sponge. Like, I don't know, even you guys can probably tell just how easy that everything is like blending out. I will say though, this is not that high coverage. Like once you blend everything all out, you can still see my pimples. So what I'm gonna do is try the other side with this Morphe foundation brush. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so this is definitely not full coverage at all. Like, I don't know, clearly it's not really covering much and it's not matching my neck. So obviously it's just super light coverage. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is mix 309 in and also a little bit more of 308. So we'll go ahead and see how a second layer builds up and if it builds up nicely. Normally with mousse foundations, I don't really like to build them because it can look kind of layered and cakey. So I guess we will see. Again, a second layer is still not full coverage enough for me. I still see my pimples. I don't know, guys, and it's still kind of like light for me. Like if you compare it to my shoulders, I still look like it's light. Oh, forgot to use the brush on this side, so let's switch over. It did build okay, I will say though, like it doesn't look cakey. I am gonna say as well, I do prefer the brush over the Beauty Blender. I just feel like brushes work better with mousse products. I feel like I also got a little bit more coverage with the brush than I did with the Beauty Blender. I don't know, I'm not digging the coverage and I like the texture of it. It's nice and airy. It's not sticky. I really, really like the texture. I have this really weird dry patch here and it's not emphasizing that. So it's not making me look dry. If you have dry skin, I feel like this might work for you. It is making my eyelid area a bit dry and scaly. Like I told you guys, I'm getting dry patches there. So it's kind of showing a little bit. So maybe if you have severe dry patches, you might not like it, but for this kind of texture right here that I have, it's not emphasizing it or anything. So I actually enjoy the texture of it. I enjoy the finish. It has like a nice natural finish, but I'm like craving some more coverage here. So I'm actually gonna put 309 on this brush and just try and like layer it up again. I mean, you guys know me, I like my glam. I will say though, this is one of the easiest foundations to blend. Like I'm not having any areas where I'm like, oh, that didn't really blend too well. Like I feel like all I gotta do is touch it and it just blends itself. So it blends really easily. So I feel like if you need a really quick, easy to blend, like go-to, super quick, lighter coverage foundation, this might be your best bet. So I'm gonna go ahead and test out the Concealing Contour Palette. I think I want to try out this highlighting shade right here and conceal my under eye. So we'll see how that works. But what I want to do beforehand is use this color corrector. For some reason, my dark circles are cray today. So I think I want to take this peachy shade. It's like a peachy pinky shade. And pop that on underneath here and see how well it brightens up the under eye. Whoa. Excuse me. Yes. This looks really good. Like it just, did you guys like not see that? It just like brightened it up so good. I will say up on this eye, right underneath here, I'm getting again another, like, I don't know why my skin is freaking out lately. I don't even know. But underneath my eye here, I have like this weird circle dry patch. It was like super red a few days ago, but the redness kind of went down, but now it's just really dry. So we'll see if this kind of emphasizes the dryness. This is like probably the first video ever that I can vouch for you dry skin girls. Normally I'm all oils, baby, so I can only help you oily skin girls out, but today I'm helping the oily and the dry because I got some dryness going on this winter. I have no idea why. Look how nice that highlighted. Like I'm even good with this as a highlight. You guys already know me, like as a under eye concealer. Ooh, it's so pretty. Okay, so it smoothed pretty well over that dry patch. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm talking about. If you can't see what I'm talking about, then that's a good sign, because if it really emphasized it, you'd be for sure seeing what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to blend the edges. And now I think I'm going to take this shade right here. Hopefully it's light enough for me. And I think I am going to just do the same thing. Dip into it with my beauty blender, and I'm going to do some highlighting underneath the eye and also down the center of the face. So this cream blends out really nicely as well, and it's not emphasizing any dry patches, and it's kind of like, it's almost like this, it's nice and hydrating, but it still has this like matteness to it, which is really nice. But let's move on to kind of cream bronzer, cream contour. I wanted to use this shade, but it seems like it'll be a tad bit light for me right now, just like literally by the smidgest bit. So I think what I'm gonna do is use one of the deeper foundations and see how it works. So I think I'm gonna try 311 Creme Cafe, since 309 was for pretty much my whole face. 310 won't be dark enough. So let's go ahead and try 311. I am gonna use this more to kind of bronze with my favorite new cream bronzer brush. I've been obsessed with this. This is the e.l.f., what number is this? 103 brush. It's so good for cream bronzer. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this on. I'm scared, I don't know, I'm afraid that that might be too dark. So I guess I'm just gonna go really lightly first. Not bad in terms of shade, like the shade is okay. It's just because the foundation underneath is not super full coverage, you can see some of my like pimple and redness underneath there, which I'm not a huge fan of, but you know, it is what it is. But I feel like even using the deeper foundation as a cream bronzer is a great natural kind of cream bronzer, so it doesn't look too heavy, because it is, again, like that light medium coverage. So now that I've tried out everything, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup, set the bronzer, set the highlight so that it's not creasing, because it's creasing right now. And I'm gonna go ahead, do the rest of my makeup, and I will come back and let you guys know what my final thoughts on the foundation, the palettes, and the sponge. Okay guys, so I just went ahead and finished my makeup. So final thoughts on the products. I will say I'm absolutely obsessed with the sponge. Like, this is probably one of the first sponge that I've tried in comparison to the Beauty Blender that I actually really love. I feel like it comes the closest to the Beauty Blender, so I'm really excited to try the other shapes, because I feel like I'll like the other shapes better. Hopefully they're all the same kind of material. So when it comes to the kind of little palettes here, I actually really enjoyed working with them, but I will say once I set them with powder, and I think it's more of the highlight and contour one and less of the color correcting one, but the once I went ahead and set it with powder, it did kind of like cake up, and it kind of had a bunch of spots. So it basically, the powder clung to the product. So that I'm not a huge fan of that. But I feel like if you have dry skin and you never set with powder anyways, then you might enjoy these. But keep in mind, for me, without setting with powder, I did get some creasing. But I normally apply under eye shadow anyways, so it kind of hides the creasing. Basically, if you have dry skin and you don't really set with powder, then you will probably be in love with this. But if you do set with powder, just know that I found that it did kind of cling, and there's like a little bit of dry patches underneath the eye area. So when it comes to the foundation, I'm not a huge fan. I gotta be honest with you guys. I don't think I'm really gonna be using this foundation much, or pretty much. I'll probably try it 1 or 2 times more just to really give it an extra shot, but I doubt I'll really be loving this foundation. I didn't really appreciate the coverage, especially when it's called total cover. I would expect it to totally cover everything, but it didn't really. It's definitely more of a lightweight foundation. I will say, if you enjoy light foundations, you will love this, because it had a really nice texture and a really great like blendability. Like, it blended so easily, really nice finish. I loved everything about this foundation except for the fact that it wasn't, like, the coverage was really not there for me. So I will definitely be leaving an update down below on how the foundation lasted for the rest of the day. So if you're interested, definitely check the description bar. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys. Mwah.